S closure, we already know what is the closure means. Closure means from the epsilon to infinity. It can come the input and it will do the transaction. From this diagram we can see that here is the start symbol, which is started with I, and for this epsilon it will transmit it to the M, and for the S it will transmit it to another M, and if the epsilon comes it will move to the M section and so far go on for the S section, because it can be S, SS, SSS, SSSS, and finally the M will move to the a final state with the epsilon, and the starting state I can also go through the final state with a simple epsilon, because the uh, S star can which is the closer can also be a simple epsilon symbol. Now moving on to the next, which is DFA. We already know what is DFA, which is deterministic finite automata. It There are some difference between NFA and DFA. What is the main difference? That no state has an epsilon transmission in the DFA, but in NFA there are epsilon transmission. And the second one is there is exactly one transition on any input symbol from state, no more transmission for an input symbol from same state. That means for the same input you cannot have two or more or one or more outputs, but in NFA you can both have separate outputs for A and B at the both, but in the DFA you cannot have this one. In this first diagram we can see that from this 0 we are having the S input and we go to the 0 state, and from B we can go to the B state, and if the B is the last one, so we can go to the final state. Now moving on to the next, this is the figure for NFA, which is we have declared first in the first series of NFA. Now this is the regular expression for A and B whole closure in the NFA. This is the same diagram for NFA, which is A closure and B closure. Infinity number of A can become and infinite number of B can come, and lastly it will go to the final state. But if this diagram is same, that which is A closure and B closure, but now we need to draw a DFA, so how the diagram will look like? We already said that there are, in the second line we have already said that there is exactly one transition on any input symbol from a state and no more transmission for an input symbol for the same state. In this diagram we can see that here is the start symbol and we are in the 0. If the input A comes it will go to the 0 state, and if the B comes it will go to the final state, and then if again B comes it will go to the 0 state, and if the B comes it will go to the final state. So here are the difference between diagram of NFA and DFA with same input. You can have a snap of this one. Now moving on to the next, simulation of DFA. Here is the algorithm. There is nothing important in this algorithm and no need to memorize that. We can basically have known about something, which are the input of DFA and what is the output. If it accepts that, then you will return yes, and if the DFA does not accept that, you can retry, then you can retry, or if it again does not accept, then you can send the no signal. This is the algorithm for DFA. You can have a snap of this. Now this one is the most important diagram of simulation. You always need to practice this one for your exam preparation, which is input symbol is AB ABB. So from this start symbol, if the A comes, then the 0 will move to the state 1, and if the B comes it will remain in the 0 section. After reaching the 1, if it gets the input A, then it will stay in the 1 state, and if it gets the B, then it will transform to the state 2. In the state 2, if it have the input A, then it will move to the state 1 again, and if it reach the and if it get the input B, then it will move to the final state 3. In the final state, if it have the input A, then it will again move to the state 1, and if it have the input B, then it will move to the first state, which was 0. This is the diagram for AABB. Suppose we need to execute, or uh, we need to execute and simulate this DFA. Now moving on, here is first symbol is A, so for first symbol A we will move to the section 1, then we have B, then we will move to the section 2, then again it is A, so now where we will move, we will move to the section A. Now we are in the 1 state and we are now receiving B, so we will again move to the state 2, and we are again receiving the input B, so we will move to the final state 3. So that's how we simulate the DFA, and this DFA is correct. Now moving on to the next. Here are the two-state simulation of NFA. There is no diagram, you can just have the snap of this algorithm, which will be important for your examination. That's for today, and the slide link is given below. If you are liking our videos, now like, share and subscribe. Thank you.